But what you're not going to do, what you're not going to open your toilet mouth to talk about is man continents, as in Africa continents.
So let me explain to you all what's happening right now. It's very simple. A lot of immigrants, especially Africans, are experiencing something they never prepared themselves for. They're shocked that Black Americans aren't silently eating the disrespect anymore. For decades, they assumed that we would always lead with our morality, always take the high road, always protect their feelings, even when they didn't protect ours. That assumption wasn't accidental. It was very strategic. See, Black Americans built a global reputation for fighting for everyone's humanity. The civil rights movement didn't just stay in the United States. It inspired resistance movements all over the world. Our struggle became a blueprint. Our morality became a global brand. It's part of our culture. And for years, immigrants, whether it be African, Caribbean, Latino, Asians, they've benefited from that moral legacy. From the moment they touch down on this soil, they benefit from our legacies. They walked into a country that we fought to desegregate, a society that we forced to recognize human rights, a country where our blood literally purchased the civil liberties they now stand on. And because we were raised as Black Americans to believe that, quote unquote, we don't tear other people of color down, many believed that they had permanent immunity from accountability. They became comfortable saying whatever they wanted to say about Black Americans, repeating white supremacist talking points, exaggerating stereotypes, participating in anti-Blackness, because they were convinced that we'd never clap back. They never saw this day coming. And now that is the source of all of this sudden outrage and the "how dare you talk about Africa" energy, the "we all Black too," the "you're African too, you are African." It's not about moral outrage and it's not about dignity. It's just pure unadulterated shock. Pure psychological confusion. For the first time, Black Americans are given the exact same scrutiny that we've been receiving from all of these immigrant groups for years. We're pointing out the hypocrisy. We're pointing out the contradictions. We're pointing out how people who left their homeland because political instability, poverty, corruption, or conflict somehow feel comfortable mocking Black Americans who stayed in their country in the fight and built something through centuries of terror. And here's the truth that they really don't want to face. You cannot spend years publicly criticizing Black Americans talking about our culture, our work ethic, our neighborhoods, our supposed jealousy of you, and then expect us to stay silent when we respond with facts about your homelands. You cannot throw rocks and then cry when we hold the mirror back up in your face. Black Americans have been the only group that consistently uplifted Africa when the rest of the world tried to dehumanize it. When Europeans tried to label Africa as primitive, we rejected that. We denied it. And we embraced Africa. In the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, we wore the clothes. Some of us changed our names. We put Africa on our walls, in our music, and in our movements. That's what we did when they were telling us something different. Pan-Africanism was our project. Though it has never benefited us, that was our project. It was Black Americans who normalized loving on Africa when even Africans wanted nothing to do with Africa. But instead of reciprocity, many came here and stepped directly into anti-Black attitudes because they thought aligning themselves with whiteness would make them safe. Because they believed that degrading Black Americans was a shortcut to assimilation into white society. And now that Black Americans are finally saying, no, we're not swallowing the disrespect anymore, people are panicking. They're not upset because we're disrespecting Africa. They're upset because the comfort of unilateral criticism is over. They're upset because the moral shield they've relied on, our restraint, is gone. The genie is out the bottle. Black Americans are done being the emotional doormat for people who feel entitled to critique us without being critiqued back. If someone wants respect, they must also give it. If someone wants sensitivity about their homelands, they must show the same sensitivity about ours. And that's what's really shocking them. Not that we're talking, but that we're finally talking back, giving them the same energy. And we need to be clear about something else. Pan-Africanism is dead. Not because Black Americans failed at it, but because too many people used it as a shield and a cover and a convenient costume. And they're still doing that. And for decades, immigrants, especially Africans, have relied on Black Americans who practice Pan-Africanism to protect them from accountability. And they're still doing that to this day. Those Black Americans who operate under the umbrella of Pan-Africanism, they have always acted as buffers and bodyguards or moral shields. And immigrants have used them strategically. They don't respect them, and they still don't. They use them. They lean on these people to silence other Black Americans who try to address the real issues and the disrespect. But that era is over. Black Americans as a collective, we have woken up, and we're separating ourselves from the individuals still clinging on to that outdated framework. Because the truth is, those people are hindering our awakening and slowing our movement. And immigrants know that. That's why they cling to them. It's their last line of defense. And now in their panic, they're using every tactic they can think of: divide and conquer strategies, emotional manipulation, fake unity campaigns, anything that will slow down Black American solidarity. They're trying to fracture us because our unity has always been our power. And suddenly, we're seeing this sudden push for diaspora unity, but it's performative, it's desperation, wearing the mask of solidarity. They tried everything else: mockery, superiority narratives, stereotype, assimilation into whiteness, and none of it worked. So now they're retreating into we're all Black together because they see the tide is shifting. And the final sign of desperation is dragging up old playground stories, African booty scratchers. Black Americans were mean to us in middle school, as if every child in America didn't get clowned for something. They weaponized childhood teasing as a political shield to dodge adult accountability. It's an all-out attempt to smear Black Americans, to build a moral case against us, and to justify the hostility they've shown to us for years. But the manipulation isn't working anymore. Black Americans have had enough. The veil is lifted, the tactics are exposed, the era of one-sided criticism and one-sided loyalty is done. Pan-Africanism is dead. And so is the expectation that we will protect people who don't protect us.